All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're looking at something called the Apophis Journal. And it's this super fascinating publication that looks at magic not as some dusty old thing from the past, but as a living, breathing practice that you can use right now. Think of it as a modern-day guide to living life through the lens of myth.
So the journal just throws this huge idea at you right from the get-go, asking this very question. Most of us see a crisis as, well, the end, right? Something you want to avoid at all costs. But what if that's completely backwards? What if the exact moment your world shatters is actually the moment it starts to rebuild itself into something way, way stronger?
So, that brings us to the first stage of this whole journey that the journal lays out, the crisis itself. But it's not seen as just some random disaster. It's framed as a necessary storm.
And they've actually got a word for it. It's called hogglazing. It's a process, you see, not just a one-off event. It's like the universe is actively stepping in to break down all the things that just don't work for you anymore. Old habits, old beliefs, you name it, just to make space for something new. It's chaos with a purpose.
And the metaphor they use for this is just perfect. A wildfire looks like pure destruction, right? But it's absolutely essential for a healthy forest. It burns away all the dead stuff and puts nutrients back into the soil. While haggle hazing is your personal wildfire. It's clearing the way for new life to begin.
Okay, so that's the real question, isn't it? It's one thing to accept that a storm is necessary, but it's a whole other thing to actually live through it. So what kind of tools does the journal give you to find your way through the wreckage?
Well, the first tool is a pretty wild one. It's the practice of making and using masks. And no, not to hide who you are, but to literally alter your perception of everything. To, in a sense, wear a new reality.
And the journal offers a whole range of these things. So for example, you have the Skojan mask, which helps you connect with the primal spirit of the forest. And then you have something like the Lament mask, which is designed specifically to help you process deep, unresolved sadness. Each one is basically a key to a different door inside your own mind.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Is this just playing make-believe? But it's way deeper than that. It's a deliberate psychological tool. By putting on a mask and embodying a concept, like the forest or sorrow, you get to step outside of your own stuck identity for a while. And that gives you a totally new vantage point to see solutions you couldn't see before.
And what's cool is that the journal makes this feel super approachable. The process of making the mask is itself a kind of ritual. You're gathering things from a place that means something to you, you're building it with your own two hands, and you're pouring your own intention into it. The mask becomes a real, physical anchor for this new reality you want to explore.
Okay, so a mask has helped you shift your perspective, but how do you understand this new landscape that you're suddenly seeing? Well, that's where the next tool comes into play, runes. The journal presents them as a language, a way to interpret your journey. The journal really wants you to shift how you think about runes. Forget simple fortune-telling. Think of them more like the source code of reality, a symbolic language that describes the fundamental patterns and forces that shape, well, everything.
And just like with the masks, the whole point is experience, not just theory. It's the difference between reading a map and actually walking the trail. The journal talks about practices like rune walking, where you physically trace the shape of a rune out on the land to really embody its energy and understand it on a gut level. So, let's recap. You've weathered the storm with hologlazing, you've learned how to shift your perspective with masks, and now you're learning to read the source code of reality with runes. So, where does all this lead? This is where it gets truly mind-bending. It leads to making myth tangible. This advanced practice is called runic imaging. And it's basically the art of taking that symbolic source code we were just talking about and using it as a blueprint. A blueprint to generate these incredibly detailed and vivid images of mythic beings and the worlds they live in.
Take a look at this image of Freya. Now get this. According to the journal, this isn't just an artist's cool interpretation. It was created by using the specific runes associated with her. Runes for love, for fertility, for magic, as prompts, as instructions to build the image. It's like a portrait generated from the ancient code itself.
And here we see the same incredible thing with Hel, the goddess of the underworld. The exact same process is used to translate the symbols of her world, things like storm, water, and journeys, into this unbelievably striking, tangible form. The abstract literally becomes concrete.
So what this all means is that the practitioner, the person doing this work, is no longer just a passive observer of myth. They become an active participant, a co-creator. They are learning the language of the cosmos and then using it to bring its stories to life.
And this brings us to the final and I think the most important takeaway from all of this. Why develop these skills? What's the ultimate point of all this for you or me as an individual?
Because at the end of the day, all of these tools, weathering the storm, wearing new realities, translating ancient codes, they're all designed to help you write and embody your own myth. It's about taking control of your personal story and transforming your life into a meaningful journey of growth and renewal.
And so we come full circle. The journey that starts with the terror of a world shattering ends with the power to create new worlds. The Apophis Journal frames that initial crisis not as an end, but as a gift, a chaotic, difficult, but ultimately necessary gift that carries the seeds of your own becoming.